So many different times in my life, I've played with broken or hurt things, broken foot, broken leg, broken hand, broken arm, broken sternum, broken collarbone. I could keep going if I just thought more about bones. Why, man? Because I loved it. I loved playing the game. I was passionate about it. One of the reasons I even get encouraged at seeing all of you here. Do you know why I get encouraged by that? Is because you could be anywhere doing a lot of different things, but you chose to be here.
Some shows don't need a celebrity narrator to introduce the show, but this show does. In a world filled with endless opportunities, why would two men who have built 13 multi-million-dollar businesses altruistically invest 5 hours per day to teach you the best practice business systems and moves that you can use? Because they believe in you. And they have a lot of time on their hands. They started from the bottom, now they're here. It's the Thrivetime show starring the former U.S. Small Business Administration's Entrepreneur of the Year, Clay Clark, and the entrepreneur trapped inside an optometrist's body, Dr. Robert Zoellner. 2 men, 8 kids, co-created by 2 different women, 13 multi-million-dollar businesses.
We started from the bottom, now we here. We started from the bottom, and we'll show you how to get here. Started from the bottom, now we here. We started from the bottom, now we here.
Mr. Clyde started from the bottom, and now we're at the top, teaching you the systems to get what we got. Colton Dixon's on the hooks, I break down the books. Z's bringing some wisdom and the good looks. As the father of 5, that's why I'm alive. So if you see my wife and kids, please tell them hi. It's the CNC up on your radio, and now 3, 2, 1, here we go.
We started from the bottom, now we here. We started from the bottom, and we'll show you how to get here. Started from the bottom, now we here. We started from the bottom, now we here. We started from the bottom, now we here. We started from the bottom, and we'll show you how to get here. Started from the bottom, now we here. We started from the bottom, now we here. Now we here.
Dr. Z, thank you for letting me into your house here. I like this chair.
Yeah, they're kind of fun, aren't they? We've got this big, great room, and my wife was, it was a challenge to get furniture that didn't look like it was, in a little tea house or a little doll house. You had to get big furniture with this big room. So.
Well, I love it. I love it. And today, we're talking about how to overcome fear and worry. And you allegedly own numerous businesses. And so I want to get into it here so that we can hear a little bit about this. I think the folks at home might want to know kind of your background a little bit. So tell me, how many businesses do you actually own at this point, or are you involved in?
Well, involved in and own are kind of 2 different things, but I started from scratch. I own 5 different businesses, but I'm involved in several others. I have some that are really businesses that I don't really count as businesses,
okay.
But there's 5 full businesses that I own and operate completely. So,
which was the first one that you started?
My optometry business. Back in 1991, I started an optometry office, and it's been going ever since.
Well, I know as a business coach, I worked with a lot of business owners all across the country, and I hear people that are constantly fearful about starting a business, or they're fearful about doing what's needed to grow a business, kind of take that leap of faith to start it or to grow it. And I know I used to be scared out of my mind to start a business. Now, obviously, you've been very successful today, but when you first started that business, if you can go back in time, 5 or 6 years, but when you go back in time and when you think of when you first started that business, how did you get up the courage to take that initial leap of faith, or how did you overcome the fear of the idea of starting your own business?
Well, it's an excellent question. I mean, to say that anybody that's starting a business is not afraid or not scared, as we like to say, is wrong. But you just have to take that fear and channel it into the right. You have to use that motivation and know that, nobody's going to care about your business as much as you are. Nobody's on the hook or on the line as much as you are. And you have to fight through that. You have to be able to say to yourself, I'm going to do whatever it takes to make this business successful. It's my number 2 rule in business. You want to be the pig at breakfast, not the chicken. You want to be involved. You want to be, committed and not just involved at breakfast.
When you started, were you married at the time?
Yes.
And did you come from a well-off background where you just had a ridiculous amount of cash to just throw at business ideas?
I wish I did. No, I started working when I was 13 at a Mexican restaurant washing dishes. I was the dishwasher. I came from a large family. We had very little means, and all that meant is that I was motivated, and I knew that no one was going to hand it to me. And like a lot of great things about this country, it afforded me the opportunity to go out there and to chase my dream and to do, if I was going to put hard work into it and apply good sound principles, then I could be successful. And that's what I did.
Where did you get the capital to start initially? Did you go to the bank? Did you borrow from friends and family? I mean, because you had to start somewhere. How did you?
Well, I found a business partner that kind of helped. We were in a symbiotic relationship. In other words, I was an optometrist writing prescriptions, and they were an optical store, and so they helped me a little bit in that initial. But yeah, I mean, you that's the other thing I try to teach young people is live below your means. You have to have a little bit of a war chest to get started, and so a lot of it, was from just saving my money. I had worked a year for other doctors for a year for a year I had worked for other doctors and saved up money. So I had a little small war chest. I look back on it now and I think, how did I ever do it with that?
Yeah.
But it's, you just have to make sacrifices and understand that there's that there's a goal at the end of it.
I used to wake up really freaked out all the time that like I wasn't going, I felt like my hair was on fire, that I wasn't going to make it. And I know we had the time where we didn't have air conditioning because I decided we're going to buy Yellow Page ads. And so we had to just turn off the AC at our apartment. And when you were starting, I mean, did you and your wife work in it together as a team?
Well, my wife has a background in accounting, and she actually helped me keep the books originally. When I first started, it was me and one employee. There was two of us.
Oh, wow.
And we would sit there and part of the day kind of look at each other and go, okay, what now? Let's do something. Keep something clean. Let's make some phone calls. Let's do something, know. And it's amazing. I remember I came home after seeing just a few patients that first time. I was like, I'm so tired. What a busy day, and now it's laughable about that. But I remember one of the early ads, I had 3 employees now, and I always did an ad in the Yellow Pages. And so I called my wife up and I said, hey, come on up to the office. I want another pretty girl in the picture to look like I have more employees than what I did. So she ran up there, put on a nice outfit, came up there, got in the picture with us, so it looked like I had more employees than I actually did.
Were you scared out of your mind at any point? Were you ever worried that you weren't going to pay the bills?
I think that there's always a little bit of that, but I have always, and I'm an optimist optometrist. I'm an optimistic optometrist.
Wow.
Yeah, that's a good way.
I'm going to diagram that out.
Yeah, that's But the thing about it is you can't worry too much about it. You just got to get in there and work. And you've just got to make it happen. You've got to do whatever it takes to make something happen. I was talking to someone the other day, and they were just bemoaning the fact that their business wasn't doing well. And I said, well, are you open on Saturdays? And they're like, well, no, I want to go fill in the blank. That's my golf day. And I go, well, your competitors are open on Saturday. I mean, do you have any late night evenings available? Well, no, I want to get home. And I'm going, well, okay, and you wonder why you're maybe not being successful. It's doing the things, whatever it takes.
Well, Franklin Delano Roosevelt, the late president, he said that the only thing we have to fear is fear itself. Mm-hmm. And I find as an entrepreneur, sometimes we get scared, but if you can take that nervous energy, like you said, and kind of put it into activity.
Yeah.
How many hours of activity were you devoting to your practice when you first started? Were you open 4 days a week, 5 days a week, 6 days?
I think, I started off 6 days a week, and then I went quickly to 7 days a week. And unless I was asleep, I was working.
You were open 7 days a week?
Yes.
You were there 7 days a week?
Yes.
And what time did you wake up every day?
Well, it kind of depends. My brain and my creative juices, I'm more of a late night owl.
Okay.
And so really for me, it was how late I stayed up working and planning and scheming, if you will.
Yeah.
So for me, the office opened at 9. I would try to get there by 8. And so that means I'm getting up every day by, 7-ish.
Okay.
So for me, most of my stuff was done when the owl's out.
But you're working from 8 in the morning at that point to maybe like midnight?
Oh, sure. Oh,
And
yeah.
7 days a week?
Absolutely.
Did-
I didn't see patients till then, but when I say working,
Yeah.
a little play on words there. I mean that I was always thinking about the business. I was always planning the next move. I was clocked in. When
Now-
you own a business, you're never off. You know that.
Yeah. Well, I think that's the big difference, though. When you jump out of Reid Hoffman, this is the guy who started LinkedIn. He says entrepreneurship is jumping off a cliff and assembling a plane on the way down.
Yeah, basically.
Did you ever feel like you were jumping off a cliff?
Well, you do at times, but then what you do is you get those hang gliding things and you jump off of it and you do it purposefully, and then you're floating and you're going, this is cool. You just have to take all those scenarios, all those things, and turn them into a positive spin. For instance, after we got busier, I had a patient come up to me, and she was visibly upset, caught me in the hallway. And she looked at me and she said, you're just the McDonald's of eye care.
Oh, the McDonald's of eye care.
Yes, and I said, well, thank you very much. And she looked at me like I meant that as and I said, well, let's look at it. McDonald's opens up a new store every 12 hours somewhere around the world. Everywhere you go, the Big Mac and the fries are the same. And it's clean, and who doesn't stop for the restroom? I mean, the restrooms.
That's what we do. We stop at McDonald's.
Absolutely. So I told her, I said, listen, if I could just have a portion of the stores they opened up and be half as successful as them, I thank you very much for that. I gave her a little hug and walked on, and I could tell she was bewildered, but just like that, you took what was meant to be a negative and you just flip it to a positive. And that's, you're jumping off the cliff and you're thinking this is bad. Next thing you know, you're hang gliding down the...
Well, I'm going to ask you this here, because do horrible things ever happen in your companies today?
Of course.
Well, okay, here's an example. Maybe you can help me through this.
Okay.
I remember when I was starting my DJ company, and everything's going good. Things are taking off. And one day we go out I go out in the parking lot, and we have a home-based office, and I said, hey, where's the trailer? And they said, well, it was on the back of the van. I said, well, did we leave it somewhere? No, I would know if we left it somewhere. Well, someone cut the lock there, it looks like, and then they found out all this equipment was stolen.
Yeah.
And it seemed like, and I remember that vividly going, oh my gosh, a third of our equipment is gone. And that just, and then I had that moment where I started to freak out, and I had to kind of pull it all in and call the insurance company while trying to order enough equipment, because it was like a Wednesday, to get all the equipment in time to go out and deliver the entertainment services we had promised our customers, because we were a wedding entertainment company. I had to buy the equipment, talk to the insurance company, manage staff, and I feel like there's a lot of those moments that were defining moments for me, where if I would have caved in, I probably wouldn't have been as successful as we were. Did you ever have any freak out moments like that, where you were like, oh my gosh? Anything?
Absolutely. We've been broken into, we've been vandalized. We've had bad things happen. I'll tell you what, the first time you're served a lawsuit, that'll make you have a couple of sleepless nights, and then you realize, oh wait, for $69, anybody can sue anybody about anything. I've got a legal team to take care of this. We're going to walk through this one step at a time, and they can't eat you.
Well, I want to bring this up because I think there's people watching this right now who are dealing with worry when it comes to lawsuits.
Okay.
One of my good friends, and he's a Thrive mentor, he wouldn't mind me saying, we have Arthur Greeno. He runs the Chick-fil-A's. He and I were joking about how you just can't own a business without being sued at some point. And if you own multiple ones, you're going to get sued constantly. For somebody who's watching this, who's being sued for the first time, what kind of advice would you give this man or woman?
Obviously, there's professionals. When your car's broke, you take it to a mechanic. When you get sued, you get some attorneys on your team. You need to make sure that you listen to the legal team, that you look around to make sure you get the best that you can afford, and follow their advice. That's the biggest thing that can happen. I'm in a lawsuit right now, and my attorneys the other day, I met with them and they were like, I can't believe this. I said, what? And they said, you've done everything we've told you to do. None of our clients do that. And I'm like, well, they said, how's it going to look? They said, it's no big deal. It's just more of a frivolous thing, but you've still done everything we've told you to do. So get good help, listen to them, follow their instructions, and try, and I know it's easy, but try not to let it wreck your life. Try not to let it steal the joy of all the wonderful things going on in your life from you. And that's what sometimes they do. They just make people just panic,
I don't know if I've become extremely dumb or numb over time, but kind of how I process lawsuits now. As Napoleon Hill, the success author I'm into, he says that behind every failure, there's a seed of an equivalent benefit. And I've almost found myself cheering for them. I'm like, oh, I'm going to learn something good here. I almost have to say it though, kind of trick myself.
Sure.
Do you have a method that you do now when something bad happens? Do you just kind of, are you like one of those guys who just immediately goes into prayer? Are you the guy that has to go hit a golf ball? Do you have a move when the immediacy of a bad thing happens?
That's an excellent question. I'm trying to think. I mean, I think what I do is that I try to gather myself. You know, the one thing about being a business owner is now I have a lot of employees and they're all looking to me. And so when bad things happen, a lot of them look to me to try to figure out how they're going to react. And it's kind of like the captain of a ship. He's real panicky and he's like, everybody, I mean, they're going to start jumping off the ship, you know?
Yeah.
So I think, you know, for me and being a leader and owning a business is all about leadership, you have to remain calm. And even though inside you may be doing flips, the first thing is you have to come to a place of calmness.
So you're kind of like a duck where underneath the water you might be paddling, but you above there.
I'm looking, you're looking pretty good. You had some ducks out there in the back. But I think that's, for me, it's a sit back, think about it before you react, stay calm, and then try to have the appropriate responses from that. You know, when bad stuff happens and when that worry starts to come up in you, you know, you have to try to fight down those impulses. And yeah, I mean, prayer and putting it into perspective. You know, we all have a high watermark in our life. Yeah. In other words, we always have that, what's the worst thing that's happened to you, okay? And a lot of times what I'll do is I'll go, okay, it's not as bad as that. And I survived that.
Yeah.
And I flourished even though that happened. So I'm going to be okay. Yeah. And we're going to get through this.
So you're kind of I find myself doing that a lot. One of my best friends died in college, and my dad, you know, is battling cancer, and I sometimes just compare stuff to that. I'm like, well, it's not as bad as this, and that seems to sustain me. Do you ever go home and talk to your wife about these things, or do you try to not bring it home?
It depends. You know, it depends. I mean, you know, sometimes I do it just to kind of protect her, so she's not having to worry about it. You know, I think as a general rule of thumb, in my experiences at least, you know, my wife definitely has a little bit more of that worry gene in her than I do. Okay. Now, my wife, you know, as soon as she tells me something, then I get fired up about it, or now it's on my plate. She goes, oh, good, I don't have to worry about it now. But, you know, at some point, you know, we try to protect our wives to some degree, and we don't tell them everything, but yet there are a lot of the bad stuff that happens that, you know, I need to talk to her about, and, you know, and then we can process it together.
Okay. Okay. Now, I want to know, how do you crowd the worry out of your mind when it's getting really bad, though? When it's really bad, I mean, it's like the worst thing ever. Do you just plunge yourself into activity? I mean, like when it's bad, you know, when you're getting sued, and then you're also, let's say when one of your companies, when it's not going well financially, it's hemorrhaging money, or it's costing a lot of money, there's a lot of, maybe you have to fire somebody who did something horrible, or it just is that big stress. Do you just hurl yourself into activity to deal with it? Is that kind of a move you do at all? Or do you always, even when it gets really bad, do you have that kind of approach of just be calm?
Well, you know, I think on the outside, you know, for me, it's worked best for me to be calm. And there's not too many moves that happen now that I look at and I go, oh, I can't handle it. I mean, I can't. That's, you know, find an employee, steal them from you. I've been there, done that, know how to handle it. I got my playbook, you know.
You almost smile when you say it.
Well, yeah, because, I mean, it's going to happen. I mean, people don't, if you own a business, you're going to have shrinkage. Things are going to walk out the door. People are going to take stuff they shouldn't take. It's
if
just
you own a business, people are going to take stuff.
It's just the way it is. And the day you say that that's never happened to me, or that's not going to happen, then you're fooling yourself. So I guess for me, a lot of the bad things that happens, since I've been in business as long as I have, you know, I've processed a lot of those things.
Yeah.
You know, obviously slow times, and, you know, when things are slow, you know, I just throw myself into the work. I go in and you know, you just go through stuff and you try to fix problems. You try to make things better. You try to figure out why it's happening, obviously. And then, you know, like I was saying, a lot of the bad things that can happen, a lot of times I'll have a paradigm for that. I'll have dealt with it, or I'll know somebody that has dealt with it.
You know, this isn't normal, though. Most people don't do this. Like most people that I know, and because I coach, you know, hundreds of business owners, meet them all across the country, and when something bad happens, it shuts them down. for a long period of time. So this is a skill that you've had to learn over time, though.
It is, and it's just trial and error. Okay. And you have to learn that. I mean, you can sit there, you know, when you spill a glass of milk, you can sit there and worry about it and cry about it, as the saying goes, and fret about it and wonder how it's going to ruin your floor and all that. Or you can get a towel and you can clean it up.
Now, let's ask you, have you ever got depressed?
Just not very often, but I have been depressed a couple of times in my life.
Was it related to business? Do you ever get where you just go? Yes,
it was related to business.
So, what's your method for encouraging yourself? Because I know this is what I used to do. Is it's probably terrible, but about every 90 days when I was start my first DJ company, it would just get too much for me. So what I would do is my wife, I'd say, I'm going into the closet. And then he had a closet, it was like a walk-in closet, and I literally would go in there and stay in there for 4 hours, 5 hours, whatever, and I'd come back out and I was fine. I had to like take a nap when it would get crazy, you know?
Yeah.
But I get these little funks sometimes where I'm just like, gosh, it just doesn't seem to be working. My method was I'm going to go work out, or my method was I would just do a lot of physical activity. Is there anything that you kind of do to?
Yeah, I just insulate myself from everything. I mean, I just find a quiet space. I actually have a spot here in the house called my man cave.
Ooh.
That I retire to.
We're not going to film in there, but we know that it exists.
It is cool. And I hang out in there, and I try to shut as much of the world out as possible, and I try to do things, try to take my mind off of the problem. Read, watch a movie, do anything other than sit there and fret about what's going on.
Yeah. Well, now, Napoleon Hill, the most successful self-help author of all time, he wrote that every adversity, every failure, every heartache carries with it a seed of an equivalent or greater benefit. Have you learned a ton about business because of failures?
Absolutely. You know, you measure a business by when things go wrong. When things go right, it's no measure. It's easy. It's like loving someone that's very lovable. You know, it's loving the people that don't deserve to be loved. That's the challenge. And so when something bad happens, how a business reacts to it. If we get a prescription wrong on a patient and they come back and they say, and they're mad, and they go, I can't see. Then how good your business is and how good your policies are, that's when they kick in.
So, in your career, as you think back, have you had one of those moments where you just had a huge adversity or where you just said, man, this is a bad situation here?
Absolutely. I owned an auto auction, and I unfortunately had to fire my general manager. And so he gathered up a new investor in a short amount of time, opened up a new auto auction just about a mile away from me. So I had hired a new general manager, and we had done a drive-by of the new auction. And it was a lot going on. And when I saw that, it's just like my stomach fell out, you know, just that knot, just that ringing.
Just to clarify, when you fire somebody, as a general rule, I won't get into the specifics, but you don't fire people unless they have to be fired.
Correct.
I mean, you don't like try to look for your best employees and then fire those people.
Correct.
I mean, so when you fired somebody, I mean, it's kind of into the rope. And the next thing you know, into the rope, and then this guy goes out and finds an investor, and he opens up within a mile?
Yeah.
Did that make you crazy right there?
No, I mean, it was a good move on his part. I saluted that. But I also knew that. Sure. I mean, you know, it's competition. I mean, it's what drives this country. It's free enterprise.
Okay.
And so anyway, he did that. I drove by, and I looked over at my general manager and said, what do you think? And he said to me, quote, there's entirely too much going on right there. And I said, I agree. What are we going to do about it? And we looked at each other, and he goes, I don't know. What are we going to do about it? I'm kind of new to this.
It's like the Blues Brothers.
Exactly, yeah. Yeah, and we rolled up our sleeves, and we went to work, and we turned it around, and within less than a year, probably 6 to 9 months, he was out of business.
Really?
Yeah.
So it got that competitive fire. Even in that bad thing, it stirred up that competitive fire.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, I just dug down deep, and I just said to myself, what do I need to do? Let's break this down. Let's get it in bite-sized morsels, and let's just check it off and just get after it.
And for people who want to Google you to get a little context of you, but if they Google Dr. Zoellner Tulsa, they can see a little bit about your optometry practice. But I will say this as an outside observer, you are universally loved by your customers. Customers love your clinic because it's kind of, can you describe what makes your clinic different than other optometry clinics?
Well, we have a certain Kool-Aid ingredient that we put in, the Kool-Aid that we give all of our, customers.
Ooh, yes.
So they drink the Kool-Aid. So, no, I tell you what, it's amazing if you're nice to people, how much benefit that can get you. You know, a study came out that showed that doctors that are nice to their patients are less likely to get sued than the real smart ones that are mean to their patients. Imagine that. And so, you know, the thing about it is that in business I have found is that people walk in the door, there's certain things they want. And if you can meet those expectations or over deliver on those expectations and be nice to them and really appreciate them there. You know, I love that old commercial where they said that they're shipping all these overnight boxes, but one of the boxes had a special golden egg in it. And they forgot which box it was. So what they decided to do is just treat every box as if they had the special golden egg in it. And so that's what I try to tell my employees. Treat every single person that walks in that door as if they're a VIP. Treat every single person as they are the special one. They're the one. And if you do, people really respond to that.
So you have this like really special attention to customer service, and then you also have it's like a beautiful retail build out. It kind of feels almost like you're in a mall, not like I say boring, but a lot of optometry places I've been in previously are kind of boring feeling. Kind of it feels more retail-ish, but you do a lot of commercials too.
Yeah, you have to. I mean, if you're not going to tell people about yourself, who's going to?
But that's kind of a no-no in the medical industry for some people.
Well, I'll tell you what, it's silly to think it's a no-no. It's a business. I mean, you got to advertise.
But that's not universally accepted in Oklahoma for doctors, is it?
Well, I'll tell you what, when I got out of school, what they taught me is that you joined the biggest church in town and passed the bucket, and you joined the Rotary Club, and you handed out business cards that were mostly white. I mean, the least amount of black on there, the better.
Because now you don't want to put too much
I don't know,
something.
Yeah, exactly. And those were the two business. Now go have a successful business. I mean, that's what I was taught coming out of school.
Is the Hippocratic Oath somehow related to this? This oath you take as doctors, you're supposed to take this oath and say, I'm not going to market.
Well, ours is a little different. Ours is the optometry oath.
The optometry oath. Walk me through the optometry oath. School me on this. I cannot advertise. Is that the?
I could not have a successful business.
Okay. Now, have other doctors been critical of you over the years?
Oh, yes. Sure.
Did it hurt the first time?
Oh, yeah.
Did it just wreck your mind and maybe your wife's mind?
It took me a while to get over that. That was one of the big hurdles of life, and it's amazing how success gets you treated by your peers.
Well, I just remember kind of going back to your story about the person you had fired, how they competed with you. Mm-hmm. I just remember my wife, she's never worked ever in a full-time broadcast journalism job. Mm-hmm. So here I'm at the wedding show. It's a big bridal show. It's a big trade show for girls. They come to plan their weddings. And I'm doing the best I can. And after the show, I'm getting calls from these girls saying, yeah, we chose somebody else. I'm sorry. Now, after what you guys do, we understand, kind of your tactics. We don't feel comfortable doing business with you. And I kept hearing this. So finally, I tell one of the girls, I said, what are you hearing? Who's telling you? What are you hearing? She's like, well, I don't know. I said, I'll do your wedding for free. Just tell me who's telling you and what are you hearing? And she said, well, one of your competitors had said that your wife was, used to work for the paper and she was able to write these awards for you and get you nominated and you're really kind of a shady company. And so I remember having that moment where I'm like, oh, really? So what I did is I told the guys, I said, we're going to call every single corporation in Tulsa from the chamber list. We're going to call them all, and we're going to ask them who they're using for entertainment this year. And if they say they don't know, or they say they're thinking about it, we're going to say, well, we're going to do your staff party for $1. And if you like us, you can pay us, the difference, but it's $1. That's our deal, $1. And if you like us, you can pay us, half of what you paid last year. For every time every time that we were calling on somebody who that guy was providing service for. And similar to your story, we put the guy out of business in about 4 years. And I can honestly say, if I hadn't had that like little burr under my saddle kind of thing, I would not have been so aggressive.
Yeah.
Like we wouldn't have grown that fast.
Yeah.
So in a way, I think
that's the thing about it. I mean, you take the lemons of life and you squeeze them as hard as you can. You make lemonade out of them. And when bad things happen, it should fire you up to do all the things that you know to do to turn it around.
Have you had rumors spread about you from other doctors?
Oh, sure.
Really?
Sure.
And that now you're okay with it though.
Yeah, now it's now it's almost, I'm sad if I don't hear rumors about me. I'm like, oh, I'm not as popular as I used to be.
Well, I had Lori Montag was one of my mentors, and she said that nobody criticizes people they don't know. Like if they haven't heard about you. So she says whoever's the leading candidate for political office, the best sports team, they'll criticize. That was hard for me to deal with, but that's now. Do you worry about what other people think at all anymore?
Oh, to some degree you do. I mean, obviously, you want to be well received in your community, and you want to, now, as they go away from me in my circle of influence, you care less. But I mean, to say that, oh, I don't care what anybody thinks about me, I don't think that's completely true that anybody could say that. I mean, I think there is that part of us that wants to be accepted and liked.
Whose opinion do you not care about? So competitors do you not care about?
Well, like, yeah, I was going to say something much funnier than that, like Al Qaeda or something, But
we don't value the opinion of Al Qaeda. If any of you are watching, sorry, we're not really. Well, there's somebody watching this right now who. I know for me, when I heard my first criticism for my competition, I mean, it ruined my week. I mean, it really took my joy for days. And now I'm kind of to a point where I really don't worry about what my competition thinks, but I do worry about what my wife thinks. Mm-hmm. And I worry about what my kids think, and I worry about. But whose opinion would you recommend for the business owner to not value? Would you say your competitors don't worry about it, or who would you not worry about?
Well, I mean, their opinion to some degree. I mean, it's a pretty broad statement to say don't worry about their opinion of you. Okay. Because there's so many different scenarios I could think about that might matter. But I think the key is that you don't put a lot of faith. I mean, you don't put a lot of stock in it. I don't say you completely discount it. But I think there is some value in knowing your enemy, knowing the opposition, and knowing, just like you knew what they thought about you. You knew what they were doing, and you could react from that. To put your head down in the sand and say, I don't care, I don't care, I don't care, I don't want to hear, I don't want to hear, I don't care, because I don't care. I don't think is being completely as proactive as you maybe should be. Okay. Now, to not let it bother you, that's something else.
Well, let me ask you this, and final question here for you. For anybody who's watching at the other end of that camera, who's maybe struggling right now with dealing with worrying, just the constant stress of the business. They're physically getting themselves sick right now because they're just worried, whether it be criticism or there's a problem or there's a small fire at the office. What would you say as encouragement to that person?
I would say listen to that happy song over and over and over and over and over. No, the thing about it is that when you have a 3-year-old and they've lost their doll, to walk up to them and say, oh, don't worry, it's just a doll, we'll get you another one, doesn't fix the situation, because for them the world has ended as we know it. And for everybody out there, if it's your high water mark, or if it's something you haven't gone through before, or if it's something that is really consuming a lot of your energy and you're just really worried and gut-wrenched about it, number one, seek some help, seek some guidance. I mean, find somebody that's maybe been through that before and have them help coach you up. Obviously with the internet now, just like with Thrive. I mean, with Thrive is a whole community of people, and I bet someone on Thrive, if you reached out to the community, might have gone through that very same problem, might be able to help walk you through what they did to recover from it and how they handled it and processed it. To just say, oh, don't worry about it, you'll get over it, that's not what you need to hear. What you need to hear is from people that have maybe been through the problem. And you need to take a good hard look at it. You need to maybe write it down, you didn't maybe analyze it. And then what you need to do is you need to think about the solutions to the problem. Obviously there's a certain amount of worry about it, but put that aside if you can for a minute and put on your solution hat and say to myself, well, what can I do possibly to make this turn around or to fix this? Write those things down, just keep boarding those, keep looking at those, and then figure out make some steps that you can then do it. But I think when the key things is that I've known people that have gone through tragedies in their life. It's very comforting to find people that have gone through those same things. So same thing in the business world.
Yeah.
You know, if you get sued for the first time, it's just killing you. Find somebody else in the business, in a similar business, or maybe even a business and someone you trust, and talk to them about the first time they were sued. Sit down with them over a cup of coffee and say, hey man, this is killing me. How did you process it? What did you do? And listen to them and let them kind of walk you through it and understand that there is a way out, and that there is a solution, and you are going to figure it out. And when it's all said and done, you can look back on it and go, okay, that was my high water mark. And maybe now that's your comparison factor for things down the road. Said, oh, well, I made it through that. So this is nothing, you know.
I appreciate you. I know that you have a lot of stuff going on, and you have a lot of businesses, and you have a great family. But on behalf of everybody watching here, I just want to thank you again for your time and for taking the time to sit down with us and talk to us a little bit about how to get through these difficult situations. So thank you so much, sir.
You bet. Remember, keep thriving.
JT, do you know what time it is?
4:10.
It's Tebow time in Tulsa, Jerusalem, baby. Tim Tebow is coming to Tulsa, Oklahoma. Whoa. During the month of Christmas, December 5th and 6th, 2024, Tim Tebow is coming to Tulsa, Oklahoma in the 2-day interactive Thrivetime Show Business Growth Workshop. Yes, folks, put it in your calendar. This December, the month of Christmas, December 5th and 6th, Tim Tebow is coming to Tulsa, Oklahoma in the Thrivetime Show 2-day interactive business growth workshop. Whoa. We've been doing business conferences here since 2005. I've been hosting business conferences since 2005. What year were you born?
1995.
Dude, I've been hosting business conferences since you were 10 years old. And a lot of people, have followed Tim Tebow's football career on the field and off the field. And off the field, the guy's been just as successful as he has been on the field. Now, the big question is, JT, how does he do it?
Well, they're going to have to come and find out because I don't know.
Well, I'm just saying, Tim Tebow is going to teach us how he organizes his day, how he organizes his life, how he's proactive with his faith, his family, his finances. He's going to walk us through his mindset that he brings into the gym, into business. It is going to be a blasty blast in Tulsa, Jerusalem. Folks, I'm telling you, if you want to learn branding, you want to learn marketing, you want to learn search engine optimization, you want to learn social media marketing, that's what we teach at the Thrivetime Show 2-day interactive workshop. If you want to learn accounting, you want to learn sales systems, you want to learn how to build a linear workflow, you want to learn how to franchise your business, that is what we teach at the 2-day interactive Thrivetime Show business workshop. Over the years, we've had the opportunity to feature Michael Levine, the PR consultant of choice for Nike, for Prince, for Michael Jackson. We've had the top PR consultant in the history of the planet has spoken at the Thrivetime Show workshops. We've had Jill Donovan, the founder of RusticCuff.com, a company that creates apparel worn by celebrities all throughout the world. Jill Donovan, the founder of RusticCuff.com, has spoken at the 2-day interactive Thrivetime Show business workshops. We have the man who's responsible for turning around Harley Davidson, a man by the name of Ken Schmidt. He has spoken at the Thrivetime Show 2-day interactive business workshops. Folks, I'm telling you, these events are going to teach you what you need to know to start and grow a successful business. And the way we price the events, the way we do these events, is you can pay $250 for a ticket or whatever price that you can afford. What? Yes, we've designed these events to be affordable for you, and we want to see you live and in person at the 2-day interactive December 5th and 6th Thrivetime Show Business Workshop. Everything that you need to succeed will be taught at the 2-day interactive Thrivetime Show Business Workshop, December 5th and 6th in Tulsa, Oklahoma. And the way we do these events is we teach for 30 minutes, and then we open it up for a question and answer session so that wonderful people like you can have your questions answered. Yes, we teach for 30 minutes, and then we open it up for a 15-minute question and answer session. It's interactive. It's 2 days. It's in Tulsa, Oklahoma. We've been doing these events since 2005, and I'm telling you, folks, it's going to blow your mind. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, the Thrivetime Show 2-day interactive business workshop is America's highest rated and most reviewed business workshop. See the thousands of video testimonials from real people just like you who've been able to build multi-million-dollar companies. Watch those testimonials today at thrivetimeshow.com. Simply by clicking on the testimonials button right there at thrivetimeshow.com, you're going to see thousands of people just like you who've been able to go from just surviving to thriving. Whoa. Each and every day, we're going to add more and more speakers to this all-star lineup. But I encourage everybody out there today, get those tickets today. Go to thrivetimeshow.com. Again, that's thrivetimeshow.com. And some people might be saying, well, how do I do it? What do I do? How does it work? You just go to thrivetimeshow.com. Let's go there now. We're feeling the flow. We're going to thrivetimeshow.com. Again, you just go to thrivetimeshow.com. You click on the business conferences button, and you click on the request tickets button right there. The way I do our conferences is we tell people it's $250 to get a ticket.
Yep.
Or whatever price that you can afford. And the reason why I do that is I grew up without money. JT, you're in the process of building a super successful company.
Yep.
Did you start out with $1 million in the bank account?
No, I did not. Nope, did not get any loans, nothing like that. Did not get an inheritance from parents or anything like that. I had to work for it, and I'm super grateful. I came to a business conference. That's actually how I met you, met Peter Taunton. I met all these people.
So if you're out there today and you want to come to our workshop, again, you just got to go to thrivetimeshow.com. You might say, well, who's speaking? We already covered that. You might say, where's it going to be? It's going to be in Tulsa, Jerusalem, Oklahoma. And someone says, Tulsa, Jerusalem. I'm really trying to rebrand Tulsa as Tulsa, Jerusalem, sort of like the Jerusalem of America. But if you type in Thrivetime Show and Jinx, you can get a sneak peek or a look at our office facility. This is what it looks like. This is where you're headed. It's going to be a blasty blast. You can look inside, see the facility. We're going to have hundreds of entrepreneurs here. It is going to be packed. Now, for this particular event, folks, the seating is always limited because my facility isn't a limitless convention center. You're coming to my actual home office, and so it's going to be packed. Who? You're going to come. Who? You? I'm talking to you. You can just get your tickets right now at thrivetimeshow.com. And again, you can name your price. We tell people it's $250 or whatever price you can afford. And we do have some select VIP tickets, which gives you an access to meet some of the speakers and those sorts of things. And those tickets are $500. It's a 2-day interactive business workshop, over 20 hours of business training. We're going to give you a copy of my newest book, The Millionaire's Guide to Becoming Sustainably Rich. You're going to leave with a workbook. You're going to leave with everything you need to know to start and grow a super successful company. It's practical, it's actionable, and it's Tebow time right here in Tulsa, Jerusalem. Get those tickets today at thrivetimeshow.com. Again, that's thrivetimeshow.com.
Hello, I'm Michael Levine, and I'm talking to you right now from the center of Hollywood, California, where I have represented over the last 35 years 58 Academy Award winners, 34 Grammy Award winners, 43 New York Times bestsellers. I've represented a lot of major stars, and I've worked with a lot of major companies. And I think I've learned a few things about what makes them work and what makes them not work. Now, why would a man living in Hollywood, California, in the beautiful sunny weather of LA, come to Tulsa? Because last year I did it, and it was damn exciting. Clay Clark has put together an exceptional presentation, really life-changing, and I'm looking forward to seeing you then. I'm Michael Levine. I'll see you in Tulsa.
Thrivetime Show 2-day interactive business workshops are the world's highest rated and most reviewed business workshops because we teach you what you need to know to grow.
You can learn the proven 13-point business systems that Dr. Zoellner and I have used over and over to start and grow successful companies. I mean, we get into the specific steps on what you need to do to optimize your website. We're going to teach you how to fix your conversion rate. We're going to teach you how to do a social media marketing campaign that works. How do you raise capital? How do you get a small business loan? We teach you everything you need to know here during a 2-day, 15-hour workshop. It's all here for you. You work every day in your business, but for 2 days you can escape and work on your business and build these proven systems so now you can have a successful company that will produce both the time freedom and the financial freedom that you deserve. You're going to leave energized, motivated, but you're also going to leave empowered. The reason why I've built these workshops is because as an entrepreneur, I always wish that I had this. And because there wasn't anything like this, I would go to these motivational seminars, no money down, real estate, Ponzi scheme, get motivated seminars, and they would never teach me anything. It was like you went there and you paid for the big chocolate Easter bunny, but inside of it, it was a hollow nothingness. And I wanted the knowledge, and they're like, oh, but we'll teach you the knowledge after our next workshop. And the great thing is we have nothing to upsell. At every workshop, we teach you what you need to know. There's no one in the back of the room trying to sell you some next big get-rich-quick, walk-on-hot coals product. It's literally, we teach you the brass tacks, the specific stuff that you need to know to learn how to start and grow a business. And I encourage you to not believe what I'm saying.
And I want you to Google the Z66 auto auction. I want you to Google elephant in the room. Look at Robert Zoellner and Associates. Look them up and say, are they successful because they're geniuses, or are they successful because they have a proven system? When you do that research, you will discover that the same systems that we use in our own business can be used in your business. Come to Tulsa, book a ticket, and I guarantee you it's going to be the best business workshop ever, and we'll even give you your money back if you don't love it. We've built this facility for you, and we're excited to see you. And now you may be thinking, what does it actually cost to attend an in-person 2-day interactive Thrivetime Show business workshop? Well, good news. The tickets are $250 or whatever price that you can afford. What? Yes, they're $250 or whatever price you can afford. I grew up without money, and I know what it's like to live without money. So if you're out there today and you want to attend our in-person 2-day interactive business workshop, all you got to do is go to thrivetimeshow.com to request those tickets. And if you can't afford $250, we have scholarship pricing available to make it affordable for you.
I learned at the Academy, Kings Point in New York, acta non verba. Watch what a person does, not what they say.
Whoa. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Robert Kiyosaki, the Rich Dad Radio Show. Today I'm broadcasting from Phoenix, Arizona, not Scottsdale, Arizona. They're close, but they're completely different worlds. And we have a special guest today. Definition of intelligence is if you agree with me, you're intelligent. And so this gentleman is very intelligent. I've done his show before also, but very seldom do you find somebody who lines up on all counts. And it's a Mr. Clay Clark. He's a friend of a good friend, Eric Trump. But we're also talking about money, bricks, and how screwed up the world can get in a few and a half hour. So Clay Clark is a very intelligent man, and there's so many ways we could take this thing. But I thought, since you and Eric are close, Trump, what were you saying about what Trump can't, what Donald, who's my age, and I can say or cannot say?
First of all, I have to honor you, sir. I want to show you what I did to one of your books here. There's a guy by the name of Jeremy Thorne, who was my boss at the time. I was 19 years old, working at Faith Highway. I had a job at Applebee's, Target, and DirecTV. And he said, have you read this book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad? And I said, no. And my father, may he rest in peace, he didn't know these financial principles. So I started reading all of your books and really devouring your books. And I went from being an employee to self-employed to the business owner to the investor. And I owe a lot of that to you. And I just wanted to take a moment to tell you thank you so much for allowing me to achieve success. And then I'll tell you all about Eric Trump. But I just want to tell you thank you, sir, for changing my life.
But not only that, Clay, thank you, but you become an influencer. More than anything else, you've evolved into an influencer where your word has more and more power. So that's why I congratulate you on becoming. Because as you know, there's a lot of fake influencers out there too, or bad influencers.
Yeah.
So anyway, I'm glad you and I agree so much, and thanks for reading my books.
Yeah.
That's the greatest thrill for me today. Not a thrill, but recognition is when people, young men especially, come up and say, I read your book, changed my life. I'm doing this, I'm doing this, I'm doing this.
I learned at the Academy, Kings Point in New York, acta non verba. Watch what a person does, not what they say. Whoa.